Hey, on this episode of the podcast, we discuss some new news regarding the upcoming Spider-Man film. We dive deep into the Mortal Kombat trailer for this year's Mortal Kombat and do our official made-for-movies review of the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat. So we really hope you like this one, guys. Take care.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, what would happen if your mobile phone killed you?
We are tonight's entertainment.
I would rather watch Beautician and the Beast.
People don't forget.
And here we go.
Oh my gosh, we're back again with more excitement in the world of movies, television, and all entertainment. My friend, how are you?
Couldn't be better.
That's good. Yeah, I couldn't be better either. We've got some pretty exciting things coming out in April, particularly one movie that I've loved since I was a child. I don't know about you.
Yeah, so Mortal Kombat, based off the video game of the name, same name.
And then there's a song that the first words of the song are... I don't know if you've heard that song before.
They are.
It's a pretty good song.
That's actually the theme song from my childhood. But yeah, so today a little bit of a rundown. So we're going to go over a little bit some movie news, specifically focusing on Spider-Man 3, the new Spider-Man coming out, as well as diving into the Mortal Kombat trailer that was released pretty recently. And then we are going to do a little flashback review to get everybody ready for the new Mortal Kombat of the 1995 film.
Brilliant.
Mortal Kombat.
This is probably the episode I've been most excited to do
Yeah.
and to talk about. Cause
I think you put
you
this
don't get
in
a
your
lot of Mortal
contract,
Kombat
right?
action.
You would only
Yeah.
do the podcast if we did the Mortal Kombat episode.
No, all of our sponsors and this podcast cannot be explicitly put without express written permission in the NFL. I'm going to keep doing that joke. I just love it. Yeah, all of our sponsors make us talk about Mortal Kombat, so that's definitely a good thing. Anyway.
Gotta love that. So we'll dive into it.
Tell me about Spider-Man.
Yeah, so they just announced recently the title of the third Spider-Man movie in the Tom Holland, Sony-verse. So you had Spider-Man Homecoming, and then Spider-Man Far From Home was the last one. These movies are all tied to the whole
Avengers.
cinematic universe. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
MCU. The new one
MCU.
is going to be called. So first, it was kind of funny. They did. The actors in the movie did like this like fake title drop, so I think he posted like Spider-Man Homewrecker and then some other like really silly names.
Other plays on the word home, which
Home.
appears in everything. Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
That was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs.
I would have definitely watched that movie.
That
100%.
would make $10 billion.
And if it starred Macaulay Culkin as Spider-Man, even better.
Even better. No, so the new one is going to be called Spider-Man No Way Home. Believe it or not, this movie comes out this year. So
Can't wait. And it's still like in the rumor mill type of situation because of all these actors coming in, coming out. There's just seems to be plenty of fake articles out there about who's going to be in it.
yeah, so we really don't know, which is kind of cool. I'm going to try to avoid spoilers on this, although I have a hunch that if other news drops, we'll get into some of these rumors that are out there. That it'll be everywhere, right? Probably be in the trailer itself. But just to give everyone the heads up, this movie is going to have Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is going to be in it. So what's really cool is they're going to be tying this into some way to the other Spider-Man universes. So the Tobey Maguire film.
Go, Web! Fly! Up and away, Web! Shazam! Go! Go! Go, Web, go!
And the movies with, what's the other actor's name?
Andrew Garfield?
Garfield, correct. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so from the Garfield series, we have Jamie Foxx coming back, who played Electro. We don't know if he's playing a new version of Electro.
And who are you?
Or a version. It's going to deal with the multiverse and potentially going to these different Spider-Man worlds. What I'm most excited for is Alfred Molina is coming back as Dr. Octopus.
I won't take much of your time.
Parker, now I remember you. You're Connor's student. Tells me you're brilliant.
He also tells me you're lazy.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2. I think we've said on previous talks that that's one of the best, not only superhero movies ever, but one of the best movies ever. And Alfred Molina playing Dr. Octopus, he is, in my opinion, an Oscar-worthy performance, but they don't give Oscars to those types of movies, so that stinks. But he crushes it, and any version of him coming back, I am a big proponent of. So God bless him.
Yeah, and I just saw him. He was in Promising Young Women, and he's got maybe 5 minutes of screen time, and to me, he's by far the best part of the movie. He still looks great. Like, he doesn't look that much different. So with special effects, like, I'm hoping we actually get him as Dr. Octopus, but even if it's just him, you know, as an old man or whatever it may be, he obviously died at the end of Spider-Man 2.
Right.
So very interested to see how they bring him back, with, you know, space-time continuum. Are they going back before Spider-Man 2? So it'll be really interesting to see. Some of the really cool rumors about this movie is that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will be appearing.
So we're basically getting a live-action version of the Spider-Man
Into the Spider-Verse.
animated Into the Spider-Verse that came out a couple years ago, which is a great movie too.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Will they be? I don't know. Like, if they pull this off and it's good, I'll be the happiest person in the world. I would love to honestly see a Tobey Spider-Man 4. I think that would just be cool in its own little universe, especially with how bad the third one is. I would like to see redemption, which the director, Sam Raimi of Spider-Man, he's doing the next Doctor Strange. So everything seems to be weirdly kind of interconnected to have this actually. I think that there's some truth to this rumor. I think that maybe it won't be a full featured role, but I think that they'll make cameos is my hunch. And maybe set it up for them to appear again in, you know, a larger role in a sequel.
Yeah, I think it's doing a good thing in that we know the title of Doctor Strange's next movie is The Multiverse of Madness, and it's kind of already been set up in several ways by both Sony's Marvel and, you know, Disney's Marvel, that there are many ways in which these guys can come back to life in front of us that maybe are not the same people that we've seen in these movies. So I think that's, if I had to assume, that's probably how Doc Ock will be in this one. It's just a different universe where he won, or something like that from the original Spider-Man 2. But they've done it a lot better than some other comic universes. We'll get into this in another episode, but where people are coming back to life that aren't actually coming back to life, but they're still there for some dumb reason. And I'm talking, of course, about Wonder Woman. So we'll definitely review Wonder Woman at some point. But
can't wait. But no, I mean,
that's exciting news.
There's rumor. I mean, there's so many rumors with this movie. There's rumors that Green Goblin will return from the original Spider-Man. Defoe.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the goblin and took the spider out.
The craziest one I've seen is that the Charlie Hunnam. No, it's not. Is that his name? Who plays Daredevil? I think it's him.
Oh yeah,
forget his name. Anyways, the guy that plays Charlie something. Charlie Cox.
Yeah, Charlie
Cox. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, so he is rumored to appear. He was spotted on set, along with every actor in Hollywood. So we'll see what's true, what's not true with this movie. But really looking forward to it. Even if it's a total nightmare, it should be at least entertaining to watch.
Yeah, they don't miss too much on those movies. Far From Home was good. Homecoming was great. It's just a good series, and I think they're going to do it well because they're just putting the resources into it to make it good, I believe. But yeah, that's pretty cool news. What else is going on?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. We're going to focus on the Mortal Kombat world today. So, recently released Red Band trailer for Mortal Kombat, the 2021 version. Really excited for this movie. I thought we talked a little bit about the trailer, but I think it looks like spot on. They're using, updated technology to really nail the tone of the video games.
Yeah.
The trailer actually broke the record for most YouTube video watches for an R-rated trailer. 116 million people watched this trailer.
Yeah. No, I think that for those who don't know, a Red Band trailer is where it's like an unedited clips of the movie where they can curse or there's violence or there's, whatever else in there. I've certainly watched it more than once on YouTube, so I can contribute to some of those record numbers. But yeah, this looks like it could be a pretty good movie. I don't know if I'm setting myself up for a disaster.
So this movie was actually written by Greg Russo, who has no relation to me.
Good last name, though.
But he's never done anything else. So this is his first, I'm sure he's done other things, but this is his first official movie. And the director has done nothing else. So when I see that,
he really hasn't, has he?
He's like a music video director. So when I see that, I am very concerned that, is there a chance that this is just a really well put together trailer in a bad movie? Of course, there always is, especially when you have two people who have never made a movie before. But my hope is that it's at least entertaining. It looks really, really cool. It looks like there's going to be some really accurate depictions of, fatalities. Just in the trailer alone, there's like 10 deaths.
Yes, a lot of blood. My favorite part about the trailer was who's playing Shang Tsung, who plays one of the best characters in any video game or movie, Chin Han. Chin Han is known mostly for playing Lao in The Dark Knight.
The money, but I will give you my clients. All of them.
You were a glorified accountant. What could you possibly have on all of them that we could charge?
I'm good with calculation. I handled all their investments.
Wow.
So, yeah, literally Lao. And then he's also in, several other movies and TV shows. He was in Marco Polo, which is a pretty good series on Netflix, if people haven't caught that. He plays a pretty good character in that as well. But mostly unknowns otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of these people have done a lot of stuff in other countries. Or they're just, up and coming, like very minor supporting roles. But I think that's kind of good because when you're talking about video game characters, I think a lot of times when you have a signature actor in those roles, it's hard to look past like, oh, that's, Robert Downey Jr. as Scorpion. Like, it's a little, it kind of takes away. So when you have these people you don't know, if the movie is good, like, they'll become these characters, like just the same way Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man, and Chris Evans is Captain America forever. It's cool to give these unknowns, the opportunity to become, superstars, right? So I'm hopeful that there's some really good performances in here. But again, a little just cautiously optimistic, I would say.
Yeah, it has a ton of potential, and it could launch, what we had hoped as 10-year-olds to have happen to the other movie, but then it just buds into a huge, mega, sequels and TV shows spawned off of it, kind of like the Marvel universe is doing right now. Has that potential, maybe. Who knows? Yeah,
we'll see. I think this is one of those things where it's just perfect timing, right? I would have loved to seen how much money this made at the box office. Just based off the trailer activity, I would assume it would have done pretty well. But I have a hunch it's going to be successful for HBO Max. So this movie is going to be free to watch as of April 15th. So you have a whole month to watch it, and then after that, it'll be available to rent. But honestly, just get HBO Max. It's definitely worth it right now, getting all these free movies. But yes, we're going to dive in. This is going to be our official review for the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat. So
every 10-year-old's favorite movie. Who can't get enough of like martial arts fighting, great music, beautiful women, including Veronica Vaughn.
Oh, Veronica Vaughn, so hot. Want to touch the hiney?
I don't know if you knew that about Sonya Blade in this movie, but she plays Veronica Vaughn in Billy Madison.
Of course. So
I believe she's married to 90s tennis star Pete Sampras. That's kind of my random fact for the day. She's always at tennis matches, so it's one of those guys.
Or she just likes tennis. But no, moving into this movie, right? Just general thoughts on it. Like, do you remember how you felt when it first came out? Were you excited that it was coming out back then?
Yeah. So both my brother and I were big kind of computer gamers in the early 90s as computers were starting to become more of a household item. And we played Mortal Kombat every day, literally the first one. He would use the keyboard, and I had a Gravis pad. I don't know if I'm dating myself on that, but that's kind of an old joystick from back in the day for computer gaming. And then when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, I don't think I ever played a game as much as that. Probably like 10 hours a day, just because it was like updated and cool, and the moves weren't that hard. And it's back when gaming was good, But yeah, I was totally excited. I was literally 10 years old when this came out. We went to go see it in theaters because my brother was 15 and he wanted to see it too. So we really caught it. I don't know if it was the first day out, but it was definitely a Friday night when we watched it. It was pretty cool just to have that song come on. Literally the very first thing you hear in the movie. It fills the theater and everyone's like, okay, cool. This is going to be like the game a little bit, I think. So, yeah, I love it. It's just a history thing for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, so for me, a few years younger, so Mortal Kombat 2 was like the main game I played for Super Nintendo. Very, very excited for this one. I do remember like leading up to, so I was 5 years old when this movie came out, and I was a 5-year-old, but I remember having a lot of, interaction with the marketing campaign for this movie. Like, they had the song on the radio. I remember seeing the trailer, like, during every movie, and I was like, this looks like it's going to be the greatest movie of all time. I think that song, like, got so ingrained in my brain that when I heard it, I was just infinitely happy, like being on a roller coaster. It was like every time it would come on, I think they play it 4 total times in the movie. Which is insane.
And multiple different verses too of different lyrics and beats and all that stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I couldn't have been more excited for this. And when I saw it, just general thoughts when I was 5 years old, I thought it was the best movie ever made, ever, right?
Yeah.
But what were your general thoughts on this movie on the rewatch? So we'll talk about that. You just rewatched it yesterday.
There's no kid who saw that as a kid and didn't immediately try to just do martial arts in their basement every single minute. Like,
do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
It just happened. But yeah, rewatching it, I've probably watched Mortal Kombat 1995's version a dozen, if not maybe a little bit more than that times, probably over the last couple years, and just rewatched it, and I thought it was great. Like, it has its drawbacks, obviously. Like, it's not the most visually stimulating as far as the special effects, but it is visually stimulating as far as the fight choreography and the actual action scenes. But it really does show that, like, just a couple years later, how much more intense they took a lot of martial arts movies that were coming out in the United States versus obviously the plethora that had been coming out from other countries for years. But like, it made me think, like, this kind of probably broke the way for the Matrix to be what it was, because the fight choreography became everything in the Matrix, and just like how cool that was. That it brought up a lot of that for me. So I didn't know this. I watched the credits and I saw that Robin Shou, who plays Liu Kang in this movie, actually did all the fight choreography for it too. So I thought that was pretty neat.
That's awesome.
He's obviously pretty good at it. And
you think?
Robin Shou from Beverly Hills Ninja, mostly known for Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But any movie he's in, he's going to bring his skill at martial arts into it. And this is obviously no exception. He kind of lays it out there for everybody. And it's just an entertaining movie from the beginning. Like, who doesn't like a Chinese descendant who speaks like a French guy? And that's me speaking of Christopher Lambert, who's Highlander, and he plays Lord Raiden. Like, it's just incredible that they can get an actor like that to play this role. And he's not even like faking it. He's just like, I'm Christopher Lambert, and I'm Raiden at the same time. Like, it made me laugh the entire time he spoke.
Enough! Your sideshow freaks attack my fighters. That is expressly forbidden before the tournament. As your emperor well knows, my dominions are well known to me, sorcerer. Thank you. Come with me.
Every time he spoke.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. My general thoughts, I just rewatched it. It's obviously not as great as it was in 1995. Just technology. This didn't have a huge budget when it came out, but the story itself still, holds your interest through the movie. I think the cinematography was amazing. So that's one thing that I've never really noticed with it before. There's a few shots where some really cool camera work, especially when Liu Kang goes to see his family, and they take the camera and it kind of runs up the sacred area where he is. It's a pretty cool shot. Overall, just the fight scenes, I hate fight scenes that cut really fast, where it's cut, because a lot of these actors did their own stunts. they were able to hold the camera on them longer, especially who you were just talking about, Robin
Shu.
Shu as Liu Kang. He's the standout in the movie for sure. From the fighting, from the acting, I think he does a really good job in this. But overall, yeah, I mean, still entertaining for sure. And for a movie that there's a lot of cheese in here and there's a lot of stuff that does not hold up and some horrible one-liners, it still is a very watchable movie. And it breezes by. I think it's an hour and a half, maybe a couple minutes longer than that. But overall, man, I was happy that I gave it a rewatch, and it definitely got me excited for the new one. So just to dive into this.
It's a really good point about the cinematography, because you could see like some of the shots where, as opposed to like cutting to a different camera, the camera's moving and it's like circling around the fight scene versus switching from the left side to the right side, and it could be a completely different move or whatever. Like the continuity kind of stays there too. And sorry, I got my notes wrong earlier, but yeah, Paul Anderson, who directed this, he's got a lot under his belt as far as experience. Maybe not at that time. He had a little bit of TV experience before.
He's the Resident Evil guy, right?
He's the Resident Evil guy. Yeah, he's known for some of those kind of scary or shoot 'em up movies. Death Race, like movies like that are kind of not huge domestically, but do really well overseas, and he kind of fit right in, and I think jump started that with something like Mortal Kombat. So
I'll say this with him too, like I've seen all the Resident Evil movies. They're not great, but they're well shot. So like they're terrible scripts, over the top action.
Mila Jovovich, the fewer lines, the better, in my opinion.
I mean, she's great in Fifth Element for a reason.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Multipass. She knows it's Multipass. Lilu Dallas, my wife. We're newlyweds.
She can't speak English.
She can't speak at all.
But yeah, I mean, she's fine in those movies. But yeah, like you could tell, he's definitely got a pretty good directing style. I don't know if he uses the same cinematographer, but whoever held the camera and came up with those shots, you definitely start to see this become a common thing, like you said, after this. But I can't remember too many movies that had very great cinematography, right?
Right.
This movie obviously has a very similar plot to Enter the Dragon. I mean, we've seen this movie done a million times, but you do it right, you can remake these movies forever with a little spin on the story.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had how many Batmans and how many Spider-Man? We just talked about Spider-Man. Like literally, how many of those are there? You can have a bunch of different shoot-offs of the same story, and then maybe one day they'll have a multiverse for Mortal Kombat, and we'll see multiple generations of fighting. But yeah, I think it just kind of shows like. This movie, it has held up since 1995. We're talking 26 years ago, or more than that. It's just something that you can go back and rewatch. I just bought it actually when I rewatched it. Just like, okay, now I have it. It was on sale for $8. Like, not bad.
Funny thing was in the early scene with Johnny Cage's introduction scene. I thought the director on the rewatch was Steven Spielberg.
Literally, they cast a guy who looked like Steven Spielberg to play that role. That's immediately what I thought too.
So I looked it up. Yeah. So apparently Spielberg loves Mortal Kombat and was actually supposed to make the cameo. It's so weird. Yeah, he was supposed to do it. So I guess he gave them permission to use his likeness. Because I really thought it was him. I told I've been telling people for years that was Steven Spielberg. So it's not.
It's the Tommy Lee Jones effect.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
that's pretty funny.
So one thing I will say about this movie, I think its biggest flaw is the whitewashing of actors. So in the video games, obviously Sub-Zero and Scorpion are Asian. Raiden is Asian. For some reason, everybody in this movie is like white and French.
Yeah. Literally, Sub-Zero's name is Francois Petit. Are you kidding me? He must be a heck of a guy.
What's Reptile's name? I thought that one was funny too.
Keith Cook.
Yeah,
so kind of boring white
guy that's trying to be Irish.
That's like Aaron Wolf being Reptile in the next one. Like,
so
come on,
I
guys.
don't. And what doesn't make sense to me is like the people that they cast, proper ethnicity in this movie are the best parts of the movie. So Liu Kang and Shang Tsung, hands down. So on the rewatch, I actually hated Johnny Cage's character. I hated.
Oh, really? Okay.
They don't really bring much for me, but every scene with Shang Tsung and Liu Kang carries the movie throughout. But
Your soul is mine.
What would you say? Obviously, I think I counted like 13 fights in this movie, like fight scenes, which is insane. It seems like it just goes from one to the next, which is kind of cool, like a video game. But you have any favorites?
Yeah, my favorite, without question, is going to be Liu Kang versus Reptile, because it's the most fast-paced of all the fights. You can tell, like, two martial artists really going at it, like kind of like a Matrix type of thing, versus some of the other ones, which are a little slower. But my second favorite would be animatronic Goro with the younger, good-looking
Johnny Cage's
fighter,
friend.
Johnny Cage's friend,
Yeah.
and where he wins, and then Shang Tsung takes his soul, and it's kind of like one of the cooler times where you can see him use his power and how it really affects the group. But the animatronic Goro has become kind of an inside joke between us, but it's possibly like one of the better animatronic things.
It looks good. Yeah,
I think it looks pretty good, like almost like a Yoda, like from Star Wars, how that was just a puppet. But this one, he's definitely kind of that scary, evil enemy in this one that's not, a humanoid.
Every time he said "I am Goro," I couldn't help but think about Vin Diesel doing the "I am Groot," and I thought secretly that it was Vin Diesel the whole time.
I am Goro, and Prince of the subterranean realm of Shokan. I'm Groot. I am Goro. I am Groot.
Yeah. But I agree with you on. So it's Cary Tagawa who plays Shang Tsung. If Ken Watanabe is my favorite actor, Cary is a close second to that, because of this role. I just enjoy him pretty much everything. I actually think he's in Beverly Hills Cop, if I'm not wrong, playing one of the corrupt, evil guys in that. One of the Beverly Hills Cops. Let's see. That was a long time ago. He's been in a lot of stuff, by the way.
So
he's even in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
So to comment on some of those, so Reptile versus Liu Kang, I thought the song that they used, so the music in this is pretty good. They do use the main Mortal Kombat song like 4 or 5 times, but they switch it up for that Reptile versus Liu Kang's, and it's like almost kind of reminds me of Sandstorm a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very cool techno song that they use. So yeah, for me, a lot of the fights don't hold up very well. Johnny Cage versus Scorpion is probably the most absurd thing in the entire movie. It's got a very like Evil Dead 2 vibe, which is like, the game's a weird game. So, and they do switch locations mid-scene where they go into like the depths of hell. Do we know
how does he get back? That's my question.
Yeah.
Where on this island is there a little hellscape?
I don't know.
With a bunch of
really
bones.
Don't. But very funny.
At least we get the "Get Over Here," which is
Get over here.
Which is the same voice from the movie. From the
Get Down
the
Here
game.
too.
Get down here.
That one I really didn't like.
I hate it.
Get down here.
I hate it.
I thought that was like such a stupid way to change up an iconic "Get Over Here" type of line, but. Yeah, that whole scene is absurd. The only good part about that scene is there's actually another funny like thing from the past. That song, that's like kind of like a rock song. It's like
when they
like,
go
that's actually in another video game from a PC days back in like the 90s, early 2000s called Carmageddon, where you literally it's car racing with 5 other opponents, but the way you win the race is you either make all the laps, you kill every other car, or you kill every pedestrian in that racing game. So like one of the most gory, violent games of the 90s, and I actually have it on my iPad now. It's actually pretty stress relieving. But that song plays when you're racing, and at first every single race in that in that game. So like when I heard that, I had also played the game, and like I was like, oh, that's the song from Carmageddon. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Deep cuts right there.
Obscure. So yeah, that's why we're Made for Movies at Made for Movies podcast, by the way.
So yeah, watching this, I was enjoying it, but I was like, all right, this is definitely kind of shown its age. I think the last 15 minutes, though, are still really, really good. So you have that reptile fight. Once they get to Outer World is, where the movie starts to get really good. But I love the last scene when they're in the temple, or the tower, excuse me, and they take the hoods off, and Liu Kang challenges him to...
No! You'll fight me. I am Liu Kang, descendant of Kung Lao. I challenge you to Mortal Kombat. Do you accept or yield?
I accept.
When the Mortal Kombat song comes on there, like I still get chills. I think it's just perfectly done. That whole fight scene, the first part of it, there's no cut. Really, it's just them going back and forth. Really,
and you keep
cool.
seeing the camera kind of circle around them, keeping it continuous.
Saying.
Yeah, it's definitely good cinematography on that. I think the banter between Sonya and Johnny Cage is good for the movie because it's like just kind of little light one-lining clips. I know you don't like them too much, but I find
you gotta admire her. When she sets her mind on something,
it's not her mind you're admiring.
I find him to be hilarious. He's just like a misogynist, and it's like still 1995. Like, there's like so much stuff in there that he's just a douche, but he plays it really well.
Yeah, he plays it fine. I just think the lines they give him, it's very tough for him to.
Horrible.
I think she's terrible in the movie as well. But
she's not a good actress. She's better in Billy Madison as Veronica Vaughn than in this one for sure.
That's fair.
She's a lousy martial artist, that's for sure. Some of her moves you could kind of see they were still in training mode at some of the points, but
she also looks just like when she fights Kano, like it just doesn't look believable at all. Like he's like holding her up with all his strength, like with his legs, and it's trying to make her look like she's like overpowering him, and it looks very silly. They could have given her
that
some
actor
more training.
Trevor Goddard. I've never heard or seen of him in anything else that I can actually think of.
He's good in that.
He plays Kano really well. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if he's Australian by descent, but
I believe in a fair fight. One-on-one, man-to-man, hand-to-hand, just like my daddy taught me.
But his accent is funny. He actually English. He was born in England. He's been in a lot of TV. He's like X-Files. He's apparently in Gone in 60 Seconds, but I don't know as what. He probably plays like side characters. He's in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But
he looks like the guy from Fast and the Furious that gets shot at the end of the movie. That's like a dick to Paul Walker's character the whole movie.
Oh, kind of like the bigger bearded guy. He's like the alpha.
Looks like him. That's just I just like when I don't know who someone is, I just pretend that there's someone else, and then I'll tell everyone for the next 10 years that that's the same person. But yeah, man. Overall thoughts on this? I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm always entertained. I always see a scene in the movie upon a rewatch that I forgot is in it, and that always kind of makes it that much better. And for me, it's not that I had forgotten this time. I forgot how good it was when they first get on the boat, and then they're introduced to Sub-Zero and Scorpion, like how they walk in and intro themselves. Like it's like, oh yeah, this is about to get really good. And then Raiden goes on a monologue that is. It might be like a top 5 monologue in any movie to me. Like how he explains the whole tournament, he explains the whole concept of Mortal Kombat, so that these three main characters know what they're going to be up against, and he does it in just such a great, Frenchy Highlander way that I'm just like, this movie rocks. I'm in for the whole thing.
The fate of billions will depend upon you. Sorry.
I don't know. I know you don't feel as strongly about it as I do, but I love it. I just can't get over it.
I can't get over it. So when I look at Raiden, I just think of Thomas Jane too. They look so similar to me. Yeah. So again, when I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, that's the same guy from Deep Blue Sea and The Punisher.
There you go.
So I think I have a problem with identifying. But no, overall, I would say I was, we'll get into scores here in a sec. I was at like a 6, like a movie worth watching. Before the last 15 minutes, I think the last 15 minutes elevates it to that, 7, like good movie, definitely worth your time. If you're interested in seeing the new one, I think it's just cool to, see this one as a comparison because a lot of the characters and the story looks pretty similar. So I think it'll be a cool kind of a time machine to jump through, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'm going to go 7 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, I will give it an official 9 out of 10, just because of mostly what I said, but also just kind of tying it back to how I felt as a 10-year-old seeing that for the first time.
Sure.
And like, I recently bought the game, the newer version MK11, to play with you, literally.
That was fun.
And I haven't played it much. It's just like a button smasher, but you could be like Terminator in it. You could be like a bunch of other different characters.
I dislocated my thumb.
Yeah, it's like so yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's just, I would definitely recommend buying it or renting it if you haven't already. And spoiler alert, we win. The main characters do win, but if you haven't seen it since 1995, that's your fault at this point.
Yeah, so our official score, again, let me get my calculator out here, carry the 2. So we're going to give Mortal Kombat Made for Movie an 8 out of 10. So definitely check it out, rewatch it, get ready for the new one so that we can talk about that. But I think that's all we got today.
That is all we got today. Short and sweet. Keep it easy.
Keep it tight.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys for listening to the Made for Movies podcast. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to send us your thoughts and opinions on these movies that we've discussed, your rankings, any movies you want to see, any movies you'd like us to review. Please shoot us a note. You can find our info on our website, which is madeformovies.com, our Instagram, which is Made for Movies Podcast. And we really hope you liked it, guys. Have a great day. See ya.